Welcome on in, everyone. We are back, the cousins. This is Beard Talk with Kyle and Joe. I'm Kyle.
What's going on, guys? This is Joe, and for today's video, we have a little bit something different for you. We have some very good content coming your way, but we wanted to take a little break from what we've been doing lately and just share some little extras with you, just so you guys have a chance to get to know us a little bit more. For tonight's video, Kyle is going to be sharing a little bit more about himself that I'm very excited about as well. So let me kick it over to my main man and let's get started.
All right, man. Sounds good. Appreciate the intro, brother. So like Joe said, we're going to be doing something a little different today. As the title said, we want to talk about stress and different type of things. We think it's really appropriate when it comes to the bearded community. And then also, of course, with the current events that are going on in our world right now. Everyone's situation is different. Some are worse than others, so on and so forth. So if you're looking for a beard product review video or a beard how-to video, this one's probably not for you. But I do encourage you to stick around, as hopefully you'll get something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So quick disclaimer, we're doing this video simply to help other people talk about from our personal experiences. This is not for views. This is not for sympathy, anything like that. This is strictly a way for us to share what we've gone through to hopefully help you if you are ever going through a tough situation, or maybe you are now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the story that I want to share with you happened about 4 years ago. So my wife and I at the time were married for about 3 years, and we were looking to start a family. And my wife and I were trying to get pregnant for about a year, and it really wasn't happening. We were getting kind of nervous. We decided that eventually we were going to go to the doctor, see what was going on, which is never, a fun thing by any means. So one day I get home from work and my wife was like, "Great news, I'm pregnant." And then we were just so relieved and so happy, so excited. So as usual, my wife called the doctor and the doctor said, come in around, I don't remember what it was, but 8 or 9 or 10 weeks pregnant, whatever the case may be, which is pretty standard. So the night before, my wife was sitting on the couch watching TV, and I was laying next to her. My head was like kind of near her leg, and I was feeling her stomach. And I said, "That's strange. You're not very far along by any means, but your stomach feels pretty firm." And she's like, "Yeah, that is kind of weird. It does feel firm, but this is our first time, going through a pregnancy. Maybe that's normal." So we went to, and that was the night before the doctor's appointment. So we went to the doctor's appointment, and the tech doing the ultrasound, I'm one of those people, I'm always looking at people's faces, trying to get a read on them, different things like that, like kind of scoping out the room. You know what I mean, Joe? I've been like that since I was a kid.
You've been like that since we were still pooping in our underwear, man.
Right, right. So the ultrasound tech was taking the ultrasound, and she was rubbing the thing over my wife's belly and just kind of giving it an extra second, and was like, She said, "Hang tight, guys. Let me go get the doctor." Now I'm like, oh gosh. So immediately, like any nervous first-time father, I'm like, something's wrong. What's going on? So the doctor came in, and she was like, let me and the tech just kind of look at the ultrasound here for a second. And they're looking and they're pointing and everything. And they finally turn around and they were like, "Okay, guys, you're having triplets. There's 3 babies in there." And I was like, so again, I'm nervous as it is, expecting 1 child. And at this point, the doctor tells us that we're having 3. So naturally, they had us go to like the specialist doctor, who we were going to be going to both the OBGYN and the specialist, as it was a triplet pregnancy. So we go to the specialist doctor. They do like the high-tech ultrasound, and just to make things more fun, I guess, they said, "Well, guess what? You are having triplets. They're actually identical triplets. So you're gonna have 3 people running around in the house that look identical," which was so awesome. I mean, we were so excited, we were so nervous, and it was just everything wrapped up into one. So about 3 weeks later, my wife had some cramping and some bleeding and things like that no pregnant woman wants to have. So she went to the doctor, and naturally she lost one of the babies. She miscarried one of the babies, which is never fun, but it's a very, very natural thing. That something was wrong and your body was kind of reacting to it. So the two babies looked perfectly healthy. So keep in mind, this is only like week 12, week 11. We had another ultrasound. Everything looked great. We were down to identical triplets at that point, or excuse me, identical twins from identical triplets. She was having just a great pregnancy. Everything was fine. And then we went to the doctor one day for an ultrasound, which we were having ultrasounds once every 2 weeks, which was a ton. And I noticed that right away on the screen that one baby had a ton of amniotic fluid and the other baby had like almost none. So they were telling us that this was a condition.
Can you explain like what exactly that is? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know any about it. Can you briefly explain like
Yeah.
what that is really quick?
Yeah. So the baby's in like a sac, the amniotic sac, and the baby has fluid in there that I guess, the baby eats off of and kind of just hangs out, and it helps the baby grow. And they measure those levels, and they should be at a certain amount. So, if it's supposed to be like here, the one baby had like way too much and the other baby had almost no amniotic fluid. So thanks, Joe, because I know for a lot of people who have never seen or gone through it, probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So what was happening is there was a condition called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. Now, this is, long story short, this is a syndrome. So when you have identical twins, they're feeding off the same placenta because that egg split. It wasn't like fraternal twins that everything's separate. Since there's a lot of stress on the placenta, the body's reaction to that is it forms blood vessels in the tubes from the placenta to the amniotic sac, and it essentially blocks fluid to go to one baby and gives the other baby way too much fluid.
Okay.
So it's very, very dangerous for the mom and the babies. So at the time, there was only like 10 hospitals that actually do a corrective surgery for this. So we're in the Cleveland area, and one of them was actually in Cincinnati. So we took the 4.5 hour drive down to Cincinnati pretty much right away. I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was quick. It was very scary. It was very quick. They wanted to get us down there as soon as they could get us in. And we went down there, and the long story short with the surgery is they make an incision as close as they can to the tubes that have the blood vessels in them. And they actually, by laser, cauterize the blood vessels so the fluid can flow like it's supposed to again. Now, this is very dangerous because you're opening the womb. So the chance of losing the babies is very high, and preterm labor is very high. So when we first got down there, they ran a CAT scan and some other tests to see the baby's condition. Unfortunately, at that point, we ended up losing one of the twins right off the bat. It likely happened the day of us traveling to Cincinnati. Excuse me. So that was obviously bad news. And the other baby, the stress was off. We were down to one baby at this point. The stress was off because it was no longer sharing the placenta with the other baby. Now, the doctor explained to us.
And how far along were you at this point?
Yes, sorry. So we were pretty far along. We were about 24 weeks. So we were there's 40 weeks. So we were a month over halfway through.
Okay.
So at this point, she had the twins. She was big. She was very big. My wife. So the doctor explained to us, your one baby's healthy. The only problem is you have a whatever it was, 5 months, 24-week baby deceased in the womb, and your body naturally is going to want to push that out. Yeah. So preterm labor is a serious concern for us. So she was on bed rest, the whole thing. Unfortunately, from the day we got home, I don't even know if it was a week, she immediately started having bad cramping. Again, all the signs of preterm labor. She went to the hospital. My wife started developing an infection from that deceased baby being in there, and they had to induce. And unfortunately, the other baby was born extremely preterm. And, big decision to make. Do you resuscitate? Do you not resuscitate? And the likelihood of our child having severe handicapped and things holding her back, those chances were very high. So we decided not to resuscitate. The baby was born alive, and we just kind of held her and had our moment as a family for about 2 hours before the baby passed. So
Was it obviously no decision like that is easy, but
right.
were you and Melissa on the same page with that decision the entire time? Did you solely make that between the two of you? Did you resort to family members or anything like that, like your guys'
Mm.
parents or anything?
So great question. We did talk with, well, we didn't really ask our moms. We more told them the decision we made, which they were 100% supportive.
Okay.
When we were first talking about it, we said we need to make a decision for what's best for our daughter, not what's best for us. And the likelihood of them having developmental issues, physical and mental, was just so high. We didn't want to do that to her,
Mhm,
not the way it made us feel.
mhm.
And our doctor we're very close with, and we asked her opinion, and she said that she personally would not resuscitate.
Okay.
um, I wanted to, so my wife and I, like with my personality, I can be a little more dominant, and like, I am a talker and stuff, more than
I
she
would
is.
I would never know that by coming over and having family dinner with you, but
Right, right, exactly. um, so I wanted Melissa, my wife, to make that decision. We pretty much made it together, we were aligned, but I wanted her to say her decision first. So that's the decision we went with, and it was the quickest 2 hours of my life holding our daughter there, and she passed, and everything was so quick. We rushed to the hospital, and then a day later this happened, and it was so quick, and the doctors tried preparing us for the worst, and the worst did happen. So um we ended up having them cremated, and we have them in a like kind of like a half moon, chrome looking, like half moon with a smiley face, and we put it on our mantle, and a lot of people don't even know that it's an urn, which is really cool. That's kind of like what we were going for.
mhm,
So there's a reason why Joe and I wanted to share that story with you guys. So, right now with what's going on in the world, there's a lot of, there's a lot of craziness going on, and there's a lot of things that are really scary. And, I truly believe, how your day is going to be is your decision when you wake up. You can wake up and choose to have a good day. You can wake up and choose to have a bad day. So when stuff like that happens, it's going to go one or two ways. That things like that can break up a marriage unintentionally, and things like that can make a marriage stronger.
mhm.
So my wife and I, that's made us 100% stronger. We met through the hospital. We met a lot of other couples who went through similar things. We ended up, doing different like activities type of things with the hospital, and got to meet a lot of people, and really formed a community through these people, and sharing everyone's story, and seeing that there's other people who go through different type of things similar to you, really helped us get through it.
Mhm.
Some people, like myself included, I was scared to try again for kids. Our son is going to be 2 in June, and my wife right now is pregnant with our daughter, who is due end of July. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. So, there's
And
there's
if
just
I may interject for a
yeah.
second,
Go ahead, man. Please.
um, your son JJ, and really quick, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but
No, you're good.
um, what a lot of people don't know is me and Kyle, we're not first cousins, we're
Right.
not second cousins, we're third cousins, and technically that means there's really no blood relation, but you would never know that.
Right.
We've been pretty much attached at the hip since we've been in diapers. And I look at your son, who's technically my fourth cousin, as I
Hmm.
just told you this the other day,
Yeah.
like a nephew. And he's got your size already, and you're a big boy. He's
Yeah.
definitely very healthy, very active, such an awesome little dude. He
Yeah,
does.
well, thanks,
He
man.
lists
I
his
appreciate that.
personality.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, man. No, I appreciate that. He loves watching us on TV and saying Joe. That's for sure. Um, so, like I was saying, the reason why I share that with everyone is not for sympathy. I don't want people. You can if you want to, but I don't want people in the comments. I'm so sorry for what you went through. Of course, things like that are nice. I just want to I relate things like what we went through and how it made us stronger and how we weren't scared to get up and try again. I relate that to the bearded community. I really do. Um, the way people feed off each other and the way how people are motivated. Joe and I have reached out to so many people in the bearded community that we inspire, not to be like, but we inspire to have their type of success. And there's just been open arms, people
Mhm.
willing to help us. So, I mean, Joe, can you elaborate that on that a little bit, or what's your spin on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that we look up to, a lot of influencers within this community. And I think what's really starting to be really eye-opening and really fulfilling for us is now the individuals who are coming to us for our expertise.
Right.
Um, one question I absolutely have to ask you is,
Yeah.
um, how much do you think the bearded community and the positivity that comes with it would have even helped you more during that situation that you and Melissa went through?
Yeah. No, great question. I think it would have helped a lot. I really do. And the reason why, just like I shared before, we met people that we're still friends with today that the hospital kind of hooked us up with who went through the same thing that we did. I can
Mhm.
only imagine the support and the reaching out and the little things like when someone messages you, hey, just want to let you know, I hope all is well. Let me know if you need anything. Little things like that. I can only imagine how amazing it would have been if I, had a big beard and I was part of the bearded community at that point. And it's really amazing. So that's why I wanted to share my story with you. Again, not for sympathy, not for views, not for subs, anything like that. Just as a reminder, you have when not just stress, but when catastrophe happens in your life, you have two options. You can make it your new normal and accept it because you can't get over it. Something like that you will never get over. You learn to accept it and decide to be happy, or you can choose the latter and kind of feel sorry for yourself and feel stressed out and feel depressed. I understand some people can't help it, but from a day to day, that's what I want to remind everyone. I know a lot of people are out of work. I know a lot of people are going through some tough stuff. Maybe they lost a family member, whatever the case may be. Always stay positive, always look at the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm. And don't be afraid to look at your bearded brother next to you, because whether you're in a different state than the bearded community member that you're really close with, you're closer to them than you may think.
Right.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah.
For our loyal subscribers that we do have now, you ever need anything, do not be afraid to reach out to us. We
Yeah.
will always be there for you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my only ask of you, if you choose to, in the comments below, maybe you haven't experienced anything, quite as heavy as that, but how do you handle stress? And also, how has the bearded community helped you in your life in handling stress, handling catastrophe, anything like that? We'd love to read it. And that's where the conversation gets started, guys, in the comments below. So that is all that we had for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, it involves the bearded community. It wasn't your typical review. It wasn't your typical beard talk video that we get you, but we wanted to throw different things out there that we think can help you, that we've experienced. So like I said, that's all that we have for you today. But as always, keep it growing.
And we'll talk to you at the next one. Take it easy, friends.